Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Reynolds. I hope you've all had a lovely Easter weekend and enjoyed the sunshine. It's beautifully sunny out there today as well, so I hope you're getting lots of fresh air and vitamin D. I have of course come to read the next part in The Magic Finger, which is actually going to be the last part. So the last thing that had happened, if you remember, was that the ducks had threatened the Gregg family, and Mr. Gregg had made a promise that if they didn't shoot the family, he would never shoot a living thing again, and he was going to smash his guns to smithereens, and they never needed to be scared of him again. So with that, the ducks said to the Gregg family, well, you can come down from the nest now. Oh, and by the way, well done. It was a lovely nest for a first attempt. So I'll just read the last bit to you again. Then all at once, everything went black before their eyes and they couldn't see. At the same time, a funny feeling came over them all and they heard a great wind blowing in their ears. Then the black that was before their eyes turned to blue, to green, to red, and then to gold. And suddenly, there they were, standing in lovely bright sunshine in their own garden, near their own house, and everything was back to normal once again. Our wings have gone, cried Mr. Gregg, and our arms have come back. And we're not tiny anymore, laughed Mrs. Gregg. Oh, I am so glad. Philip and William began dancing with joy. Then, high above their heads, they heard the call of a wild duck. They all looked up and they saw the four birds lovely against the blue sky, flying very close together, heading back to the lake in the woods. It must have been about 4:30 that I myself walked into the Greggs' garden. I had come to see how things were going, and I must admit I was expecting the worst. At the gate, I stopped and stared. It was a very peculiar sight. In one corner, Mr. Gregg was smashing all three guns into tiny pieces with a huge hammer. In another corner, Mrs. Gregg was placing beautiful flowers upon 16 tiny mounds of soil, which I learned later were the graves of the ducks that had been shot the day before. I'm glad that he kept his promise. And in the middle of the yard stood Philip and William with a sack of their father's best barley beside them. They were surrounded by ducks, doves, pigeons, sparrows, robins, larks, and many other kinds that I didn't know, and the birds were eating the barley that the boys were scattering by the handful. Good morning, Mr. Gregg, I said. Mr. Gregg lowered his hammer and he looked at me. My name is not Mr. Gregg anymore, he said very seriously. In honour of my feathered friends, I have changed it from Gregg to Egg. And I am Mrs. Egg, said Mrs. Gregg. What happened? I asked. They seemed to have gone completely dotty, all four of them. Philip and William then began to tell me the whole story. When they'd finished, William said, Look, there's the nest, can you see it? Right up in the top of the tree. That's where we slept last night. I built it all myself, said Mr. Egg proudly. Every stick of it. If you don't believe us, Mrs. Egg said, just go into the house and take a look at the bathroom. It's a mess. They filled the tub right up to the brim, Philip said. They must have been swimming around in it all night. Feathers everywhere. Ducks like water, said Mr. Egg. I'm glad they had a good time. Just then, from somewhere over by the lake, there came a loud bang. Someone's shooting, I cried. That'll be Jim Cooper, Mr. Egg said. Him and his 3 boys, they're shooting mad, those Coopers, the whole family. Well, suddenly, I started to see red. Then I got very hot all over, and then the tip of my finger began tingling most terribly. I could feel the power building up and up inside me. I turned and started running towards the lake as fast as I could. Hey, shouted Mr. Egg, what's up? Where are you going? To find the Coopers, I called back. But why? You wait and see, I said. They'll be nesting in the trees tonight, every one of them. And that is the end. I'm so glad that the Gregg Egg family learned their lesson and they decided not to shoot ducks or other wild animals anymore. I will come on and do some other things. The bar has been set pretty high with Zumba routines, baking. We even had Mrs. B in a face mask. So I will have a think, but I probably won't be doing any of those things because already I've been outdone. Have a lovely day. Do keep in touch with us. If you have a look on our Twitter, there's a lovely thing today. It's National Look to the Skies Day, I think it's called. And there's a lovely little video on there that shows you how you can look at the skies and see what you notice. And we'd love to see what you spot. Have a lovely day, everybody. Enjoy the sunshine. See you later.